Okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our Meet and Share workshop dedicated to the winners of the World Heart Awards. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrea Dragush, and I'm the membership manager of the World Heart Federation. And today I have the privilege of moderating this session. Together with my fantastic team behind the screens, Daniela, Eugenia, and Celine, we've prepared for you an inspirational session celebrating those members who have gone above and beyond in their fight against cardiovascular disease. And today is about those campaigns that touched our hearts. We will have the chance to learn about the goals, the progress, and the outcomes of these campaigns, as well as how they're helping to improve heart health in their communities. First, we will start with the Singapore Heart Foundation, and we will learn about their Hugo Poli campaign that won the award for the most inspiring World Heart Day campaign. Then we will discover why the Indonesian Heart Foundation won the award for the most creative campaign. We will continue by introducing you to the Global Heart Hub and their COVID-19 response campaign, for which they won the award for the best digital campaign. The British Heart Foundation will reveal all about the ad they never expected to make, which made them the winners of the best prevention campaign. And finally, HeartLife Foundation will tell us more about their Canadian heart failure patient and caregiver charter, for which they were granted the award for the Effective Voice of the Year. But before we begin, I have a few housekeeping notes. Today's sessions is being recorded to be available for viewing post-conference. We will take questions after each presentation. So if you have any questions, please use either the chat feature or raise your hand after the presentation. If you have any technical questions, please reach out to me directly or my colleagues, Daniela and Eugenia, via the chat. And if the time permits, at the end of the session, we will address any follow-up questions or remarks. Does that sound good? I hope so. Now let's welcome our first presenter, Zinia Lau from the Singapore Heart Foundation. And while I'm introducing you, Zinia, I invite you to start sharing your screen with us. Zinia works in the Community Education Department, which is responsible for organizing outreach campaigns like the Hugo Poli online game to raise awareness of cardiovascular disease in the community. And I'm not going to spoil the presentation, just a few words about their campaign. Last year, during World Heart Day, the Singapore Heart Foundation launched this playful tool to connect and engage the public in deepening their knowledge of heart health through weekly challenges and contests, including reaching 10,000 steps walked in a day and the preparation of nutrient-rich food recipes. Players were able to earn points that were later redeemed for valuable prizes such as home devices, watches, vouchers, and much more. The campaign was a success, reaching a total of 435 participants player during the event period. Zinia, please tell us more.
So hello everyone, good morning, afternoon and evening. I'm Zinia from the Singapore Heart Foundation. So today I'll be presenting about Hugo Poli, an online game which was developed during the National Heart Week World Heart Day 2021 in Singapore. So before I start the presentation, I would like to thank the World Heart Federation for awarding us this most inspiring World Heart Day campaign award. For today, I'll be introducing about what we do at the Singapore Heart Foundation, followed by the National Heart Week World Heart Day 2021 virtual event, Hugo Poli gameplay, as well as its challenges and impacts. So at the Singapore Heart Foundation, our mission is to promote heart health, prevent and reduce disability and death due to cardiovascular disease and stroke. We have three core pillars in what we do at SHF, and they are prevention, like the community outreach education department that I'm in, which created the Hugo Poli game for public education. We also have schools program educating the upper primary school students on measuring their blood pressure. We also have the rehabilitation core pillar, like our heart wellness centers, which provides community rehabilitation for our heart patients. as well as the resuscitation core pillar, like our Heart Safe team, who conducts life-saving causes like CPR and AED causes. So to support our 3 core pillars, we also have the fundraising and volunteer pillars who help to raise funds and support the work that we do. So moving on to the National Heart Week World Heart Day 2021 virtual campaign. In 2021, the campaign ran from 18 September to the 3rd of October with a series of virtual activities like health talks, cooking demonstrations, and exercises to connect with the public and encourage them to reduce their risk of heart disease by taking care of their hearts despite the COVID-19 pandemic. So in addition to the team Use Heart to Connect, we conceptualized and thought on how we could bring important heart health messages in a light-hearted and fun way. We had originally wanted to produce a physical Monopoly style game to encourage people to visit the various places and to stay active. But due to the changing COVID-19 measures in Singapore, we had to adapt and switch to a virtual game. So why the game, you might ask? We know that people of every age play games. You play game, I play game, everyone play games, be it like a team game or an individual game. So with the game concept in mind, the team then conceptualized further and created Hugo Poly, a Monopoly-inspired single-player game featuring our mascot Hugo. So to play the game, users first have to register for an account before they can start playing. This is to keep track of their accumulated points throughout the 2 weeks campaign. So each day, players are given 5 rolls a day where they can earn or lose points. So for example, if the player lands on the Go See Dr. tile at the top right-hand corner, he or she will be directed to the In Clinic tile, which is located at the bottom left corner, representing a health check, and the player will be unable to play the game for the next 2 hours. So to make the game more focused on heart health, positive and negative heart health facts popped up at the positive and negative tiles respectively. So for example, if a player lands on a positive or 20 or positive 50 tile, a heart healthy fact will pop up to let players read before they can click OK to continue playing. So this OK button ensures that the participants read the heart health message that we want to deliver to them. Also, we have the Hearty Chess and Game of Transports, where player had to answer a multiple choice question or a yes or no question before they can proceed. So if they answer the question wrongly, they will not earn points or lose points. However, if they answer the question correctly, they'll be able to earn their respective points. There were a total of 200 questions ranging from nutrition-related questions to medical conditions like hypertension. Also, during the campaign period, we introduced 2 weekly challenges for players to stand a chance to earn 1,000 booster points. The challenges included clocking 10,000 steps in a day, and also to share their heart-healthy meal, which consists of 1/4 whole grains, 1/4 protein, and half plate of fruits and vegetables. These challenges were actually quite well received, with more than half of the players taking part in the challenges. So moving on to the challenge and impacts, as this is the first time SHF has designed an online game, we faced quite a number of challenges, from the technical to the non-technical aspects. So with no prior experience and knowledge to program and develop a game, we had to start from scratch and source for a suitable vendor who could help us with the development and programming. Thereafter, we also had to ensure that our idea was feasible and was programmed according to what we required. We also had to test the user experience and ensure that there was no lag or error in the messages for playing the game. Lastly, we also had to source for sponsors to provide attractive prizes to increase the attraction of the game. However, despite all the effort that we placed on the creation of the game, from curating the Hearty Chess questions and the facts, we were worried about the reception of the game, and if it will be well received and educational enough for the players. However, we are glad that our worry was uncalled for and it was well received by many. So throughout the 2 weeks campaign, we saw more than 400 players who signed up and participated actively in the weekly challenges to eat and do more for their hearts. So some of the pictures are actually shown here. And as you can see, someone actually clocked 21,000 steps in 1 day. Then we also had feedback from participants who suggested to develop something similar to Hugo Poly for our future events as well. In addition, through the questions that we ask, we were also able to analyze the data to find gaps in the public's understanding of various heart health related matters and also step up on efforts in those areas. So with the positive reception and feedback, we are currently in the midst of preparing to revise the Hugo Poly game with different elements, and we'll be launching it in the third quarter of 2022. So I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Zinia. And congratulations, first of all, for winning the award for the most inspiring World Heart Day campaign. You certainly got us thinking and probably inspired us to use some gamification elements in order to gain reach or to engage with our audience. And I wanted to see if there are any questions in the group chat or if anybody would like to address any question right now. If not, I have some curiosities just because I think it's an interesting avenue that you took. And I wanted to ask you if you have conducted a survey to assess whether the behavior of the active participants that you had has changed, and if yes, what was the feedback that you got from the participants?
For the survey, we actually did reach out to the participants to gather some survey post-event, post-campaign. However, we did not receive a lot of response back from the surveyors, and we couldn't really measure whether their lifestyle has changed. But from the weekly challenge, we could see that most of the participants actually took the effort to decorate their plate with their 1/4 protein, 1/4 whole grains, and half fruits and vegetables, because some of them really submitted their food to us every day in the weekly challenge.
Okay, I see that Koji has a question. Who is able to participate in the game? Anybody in the world or only Singaporeans?
For a start, we limit to only Singaporeans because due to the redemption of the prize, we couldn't send it overseas, so that was one limitation. And because we at Singapore Heart Foundation, we focus mainly on the Singapore side, so we would outreach to Singaporeans first. Okay, but maybe that is something that could be externalized or could serve as an example for others based on the success that you had with the Hugo Poly. I have here Petronella Sandulake asking, how did you reach your audience? Who were you targeting? And a second question, what was the demographics division? How did we reach our audience? Firstly, we reach them through our database, because we do have a set of database that we have garnered through our various events, our course, and etc. Then we also reached out through, I think, social media marketing, which our comms conducted. So through these two main areas, we were able to attract our audience because it's a sort of like gameplay where you can accumulate points. We also marketed the attractiveness of the price. So one of the prize was the air fryer, which was quite an hot household item. So through the prizes, we were able to attract some new participants for the games as well. And for the demographics, we actually don't really have a fixed demographic when we wanted to launch the game. We just wanted to have as many people participating in as possible. But we also wanted to make it easier for like the seniors to participate. In the end, I think we managed to attract a wide range of age from like mid or late 20s to like as old as probably around 60 years old. Okay, so quite diverse, I would say, for a pilot project that you just initiated. So well done. I'll take one more question from Michelle. Was an external focus group used to assist with development or simply developed from ideas within the foundation's team? For this Hugo Poly, it was developed from the foundation's team, as it was already quite late into the World Heart Day planning. So we didn't really have time to engage external sources to help us in the development of ideas. Okay, that's encouraging, I would say. Thank you very much, Zinia. I know it's late in Singapore now, so I very much appreciate you staying up so late and sharing with us some ideas that could be put in place for World Heart Day this year. Why not by other members? Thank you very much, Zinia. Thank you. It's time to move on to our next presenter.
Esti Nurjadin, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correct, from the
Yes.
Indonesian Heart Foundation. Thank you, Esti. Esti has been involved with the foundation since 2008, and since 2018 has been its new phase. She has rebranded the organization by creating new projects targeting youth and focusing on healthy lifestyle for the prevention of cardiovascular disease. She holds a Bachelor and Master of Law degree from the University of Indonesia. She's also the president of the Non-Communicable Disease Alliance Indonesia and the board member of the World Heart Federation. Just a few words about Show Your Heart campaign that won the award for the most creative campaign. So to commemorate their 40 years of presence in the Indonesian society, they teamed up with contemporary artists, fashion and accessory designers who donated their pieces of art. I won't tell you more, I'll let Esti.
Thank you, Andrea. Heartfelt congratulations to fellow award recipients, and thank you World Heart Federations for the Most Creative Campaign Award. We created this Show Your Heart campaign to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Indonesia Heart Foundation. But you know, with so many different causes around us and also the pandemic happening the past 2 years, we are competing with other causes in terms of fundraising and grabbing attention for awareness. So how can we get attention from people around us, from media, from the policymakers, that CVD is still the #1 silent killer in the world? With social distancing, all the programs and projects seems to not getting enough media coverage, not getting not newsworthy. So how can we stand out? So we try to be creative. We collaborated with 40 important artists and fashion designers, and also the National Museum, to make a hybrid art exhibition surrounding the theme heart. So all 40 artists made one-of-a-kind artworks that they donated to us. And these artists and designers tell powerful stories using their artworks. So maybe next, I think, yeah, maybe. So the Show Your Heart campaign explores the double meaning of the word heart itself. Heart as an organ in our body, the size of a fist that pumps blood, but also heart as a metaphor of feelings, empathy, or emotions. And within the word heart, there's the word art. So people since thousands of years ago have used art as means to express their emotions and feelings. So with this campaign, we are able to raise almost $300,000 because we managed to convey stories that touches people's heart through the artworks. The artworks tells the powerful stories. And the artists also, through the artists as influencer, we managed to raise awareness about healthy lifestyle choices to general public. And we make the hybrid art exhibitions at the National Museum. And then also we managed to publish 500 copies of this book, coffee table book, 190 pages. This tells the stories since the foundation of the Indonesia Heart Foundations, and then the work of all the doctors, the volunteers who has been in the service for 40 years. And we also managed to hold a virtual press conference, and we get 250 coverage from the media. Maybe next page. That's the virtual press conference. We invited the artists also, and that's the exhibition at the National Museum. So with the Show Your Heart campaign, we use art to raise awareness about maintaining heart health, and promoting the importance of preventions of CVD through healthy lifestyle choices. And we use art to build empathy towards each other, to give others the opportunity to live with a healthy heart. We raise funds by auctioning the artworks, and we use the funds for the intervention, the surgery for children with congenital heart disease from underprivileged families. I invite you to watch the video of the exhibitions. Maybe Andrea can show the video.
Thank you so much, Esti. And yeah, congratulations for winning the award for the most creative campaign. Your campaign stands out for being multidimensional, unique, and very comprehensive. And well done for collaborating with artists and fashion designers, as well as using various exhibition channels like virtual, but also live at the National Museum of Indonesia. So impressive work, I must say.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see that Mark raised his hand. Please, Mark.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That's such an amazing initiative. I mean, really well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Curious as to how you approach the artists to support the work that you were doing, because I mean, I think that's maybe one of the biggest challenges, to find those folks to do the work and then donate it. So just wondering about that. And I'm also wondering if that book was available to purchase in Canada at all.
Yes, you can go to our websites and or you can contact us and we'll send the book to you.
Awesome.
I think about reaching out to the artists. I think I've mentioned this when I went to Geneva, Andrea, that I think people they all have hearts, they all have vulnerability. So when we tell stories, we have to know how we have to speak the same message to them so that it touches their heart. So maybe we know that these artists that we approach, they have somebody who passed away because of heart attack, or they themselves had heart attack before because of unhealthy lifestyle choices. So by doing this, then they are promoting, and they are a good advocate, because they've been through that. Their families been through difficult positions because they were the artists had problems with they had heart attack and recover and at a productive age. So I think finding the people that we know they care for the same cause as us, that's the key. That's when we speak the same wavelength. Then it's easy to ask, and then they will willingly donate.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And my follow-up question would be, is it the first time when you collaborated with this industry, to call it like this?
I think a couple of years back, we collaborate with the art industry, but it was more of a small donations donated to us. But this is like the whole artwork that they made for us. So the theme, we created the theme heart for them, and then they produced the artwork in, I think, 4 months. So everything is in line, and then it was a curated show, and so we have a proper curator who then we asked to make the proper curation of the exhibition throughout the team.
Because this collaboration is without any doubt very valuable to help visualize the contribution of fashion industry to health concerns, for example. So what other industries do you think could be part of such a project, just to give some ideas to others who may think about approaching different industries?
Definitely the sports industries, because we did collaborate with athletes before, and also the food industries as well. Of course, healthy food, and then we collaborate also last year with a pop singer that's also a very good advocate, because her husband had died of heart attack. So she's a good advocate, because the husband died at the age of 39 of heart attack. So she's a good advocate. She can tell stories about her experience, and then maybe preventions as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for staying with us so late and for sharing all these ideas. And once again, congratulations, ST.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to our next guest, Adel Keneally. Adel is the Global Heart Hub's Communications Manager. And for those of you who don't know, Global Heart Hub is the International Alliance for Heart Patient Organizations. Adel is responsible for leading internal and external communications program. Some of the projects she's been working on include award-winning public awareness campaigns, publications, website and digital development, as well as social media reach and media relations. She's based in Ireland, and she has worked with the Global Heart Hub since 2018. Adel will tell us more about the Global Heart Hub's COVID-19 response campaign, for which the organization has won the award for the best digital campaign, raising awareness and driving action on medical and cardiac emergencies were the two pillars of their campaign. In this way, cardiac patients were encouraged to be proactive in seeking care, as well as healthcare providers and systems to prioritize their treatment. The campaign was divided into 3 messages, each of which was represented by a different hashtag: just go, step up, and just treat. But I will stop here and let Adel present the entire campaign. Adel, over to you now.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Andrea, and huge thanks to the World Heart Federation. We were absolutely thrilled to receive this award. So thank you. And it's great to hear everyone else's amazing projects as well. So our COVID response campaign first launched in 2020 with the Just Go message. And that was after Global Heart Hub doing our own survey with our affiliates and seeing that patients were delaying and seeking help, but also seeing data come through internationally that there was a real problem here. So we first launched the campaign in 2020 with this strong "when your heart says so, just go" message. And unfortunately, because the pandemic continued into 2021 and is still with us today, we expanded our messaging in 2021, and that is the campaign that won this recent award. So our 2021 message focused on the Just Go message because that still needed to be continued across the world. But we also expanded to include a step up and just treat element, because we were seeing from new data again coming in that these messages were critical for the cardiovascular community. So I'll just dive into what each of these messages mean. So our Just Go message was focused at patients. If you're experiencing a heart or stroke emergency, or if you're having a worsening of heart disease symptoms, it's not the time to stay at home when your heart says so, just go. We kept seeing these hashtags "stay at home" and really strong message around, to not leave your home due to the risk and fear of COVID. But we wanted to break through that because that did not apply when you were experiencing a cardiovascular emergency. Our next message was an empowering message for patients, the Step Up message. So this was really to encourage cardiovascular disease patients to actively track and monitor their symptoms. And if they experienced a worsening of symptoms, to not delay and to seek help. So we wanted the cardiovascular community to be proactive here, and when your heart needs you, step up. So we had some assets around the step up piece. And then finally, we were seeing that cardiovascular surgeries and treatments were being delayed because of COVID. But with so many procedures, time is of the essence, especially with cardiovascular disease. So our message to governments and policymakers was around just treat, to prioritize patients living with cardiovascular disease. So our third message was not directly to patients, but we wanted patients to know that we were fighting for them in this corner too. So how did we activate this campaign? So we created a resource toolkit for our affiliates. So Global Heart Hub is the International Alliance of Heart Patient Affiliates. So we have almost 80 affiliates across the globe, and we wanted to provide our affiliates with assets so that they could activate this campaign in their local country. So the campaign toolkit was translated across 14 languages, and we provided a whole range of materials. The main focus was on short video animations. So we had 3 different animations, one for Just Go, Step Up, and Just Treat. We had patient testimonials. These came through our affiliates, and they were stories from people who did not delay, or even people who did delay and had words of advice for other patients. So a patient-to-patient message there. We provided social media graphics in multiple sizes, all translated. And then we also provided our affiliates with key messages tips to launch the campaign and an editorial calendar with suggested content to keep this message fresh, because it was quite a long campaign, and we didn't know how long it would need to go on with the scale of the pandemic across the world. So in summary, our campaign reached over 36 million, had 36 million opportunities to see, which was incredible. And this was all because of the strength of our affiliates across the world sharing this message. So it primarily was a digital campaign, and our focus on phase 2 for 2021 was digital, but we also had some press pickup through our affiliates and through the Global Heart Hub. So that really helped on the ground expand the reach there also. We primarily focused on digital for this campaign because phase 1, our focus was on press and media pickup. Phase 2, we wanted to really focus full energy on digital. And phase 3, which we actually just wrapped up this year in 2022, was a poster campaign in pharmacy. So we had different delivery methods each year, but always a digital thread through each one. But for 2021, digital was key here. So here's a look at some of our social media reach. So a huge push on our side was reaching influencers. And we managed to reach almost 100 influencers in the cardiovascular space with a follower total of over 740,000 users. So they really helped spread the message and the hashtag Just Go, Step Up, and Just Treat. So it gave real weight behind the campaign and helped us deliver our message to their audience. Here's a look at Global Heart Hub's digital highlights. So we shared across all 4 of our social media platforms, and of most importance is the campaign webpage views. So it was directing traffic back to our landing page, where we had assets developed for patient organizations, but also for patients around tracking symptoms, virtual patient guides, lots of practical resources to help make the Step Up, Just Treat, and Just Go message achievable. New for the Global Heart Hub, as part of this campaign with the push on digital, we did YouTube advertising for the first time, and it proved really successful. Because we had the videos translated across 14 languages, it allowed us to actually create separate YouTube campaigns across these 14 languages with these 3 videos. So for the first time ever, we could really reach the audiences through that. So that was a huge win for us with 1.8 million impressions, and something we would definitely do again in the future. Here's just a look at the international reach of the campaign. So this is a mix of our affiliate countries, but also influencers in these countries that picked up the message, downloaded the toolkit, and shared the campaign materials. We were also delighted to get support and endorsement from such prestigious organizations, including the World Heart Federation, which added real weight behind the campaign. So that a lot of cardiac societies in our affiliate countries supported this, doctors got behind it, healthcare professionals, and of course, people living with cardiovascular, which is of most importance as well. And here is just a look at some of our affiliate content. There's tons and tons to share if you look up the Just Go, Step Up, or Just Treat hashtag online. But the real power of this campaign was the affiliates taking the toolkit and activating it in their local organization. So I work with CRE in Ireland, and for example, we held Just Go webinars and events to support this campaign. So without the affiliates, it wouldn't be the same. So a huge thank you and kudos to all our affiliates across the globe who activated this important campaign.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adele, for this presentation, and congratulations for winning the award for the best digital campaign. I must admit, when we looked at your campaign, we were very impressed by the clarity of your campaign, as well as its internationality through the wide range of resources that you have translated into 14 languages. So you did a brilliant job in redefining the meaning of the term stay at home despite the pandemic. So let's see if there are any questions for Edel. I see Koji has a question. What do you think is the most important key point for the success? Translation might be important to appeal ordinary people, general citizens. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I do think the translation piece was so important. We wanted to activate quickly, but we knew that we needed to take the time to create these assets in all the different languages so that our affiliates would have everything they needed to go live on the campaign go live date. So it did take time to translate and get approval across all these languages, especially when we had so many different assets from video to social. But spending the extra time there was worth it, because once we went live, the affiliates had everything they needed across all the different countries. So I think that was well worth taking the time to do.
I see that Petronella has a question, but I think that is for everybody to answer. Why is heart disease awareness so low? Why people don't know about the stats and all the problems related to it? Well, that's why we need to keep on working. That's why we need to develop these types of campaigns as well, Heart Day as Just Go campaign, to make sure that heart disease awareness increases. Any thoughts on this, Edel?
I know it's true, and I think there's a follow-up there. Everyone knows about cancer, but no, yeah, not the same as heart disease. I know, and it's the same in our country here in Ireland. We're constantly seeing cancer on the news compared to cardiovascular disease. We just need to keep these awareness campaigns, especially like things like World Heart Day, keep the focus on cardiovascular disease. And as new statistics come out, especially after the pandemic, using that data to try reach the right audiences. Yeah.
I see Petronella raise her hand, so I invite you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great presentation to all of you, Edel and ST, and everyone loved it. I'm from the patient side of things. Like, my question is a little bit provocative. It's not so much about the lay people, but even doctors don't know about heart disease. I lost my mum because of a misdiagnosis, and she had atypical symptoms like vomiting and nausea, and they told her she ate something bad. And she lost her life just like that, unnecessarily. And it's really curious to know that not many people know about heart disease. And I started doing the research on my own and so on, and activated an international network and trying to raise awareness about heart disease in women. But the thing is, it's a huge challenge, and it feels like prevention is not there, but even the knowledge to know that, hey, sex and gender differences matter, and they make the difference between life and death. And even doctors, physicians, take things lightly in women, and they tell them they have indigestion or anxiety or depression, and then you just go and die in 5 minutes. That's unacceptable. So I'm open to your suggestions and thoughts on how to make this really something at the par of cancer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your story, Petronella. That's very inspiring, and I think it motivates us to do even more, to go beyond all these campaigns, and to make, for example, World Heart Day not just a one day a year campaign, but a year-round campaign where all our efforts go towards raising awareness and empowering people with knowledge and information to know that heart disease, cardiovascular disease, can be avoided. Any thoughts, Edel, ST, or Xenia?
I might just add that I think in the past few years, we've seen a real shift towards advocacy and patient advocacy. And I think things are hopefully getting better in that way, that there are more, resources, or there's more of a force behind advocacy across all patient organizations. And even I know, like, Mark's presentation later will talk about, a patient guide. And I think that there's more being invested in these patient resources to allow, that advocacy piece to speak louder, so that the cardiovascular disease voice is louder. But I do agree with you, there's still a lot of work to be done there.
And we at the World Heart Federation, we even embarked on a journey where we want to bring the voice of the patients closer to everything that we're doing. So patient stories like yours, it helps us have a bigger voice, have a stronger voice in our efforts to raise awareness, in our efforts to advocate for the reduction of cardiovascular disease. Thank you. I see there are some questions in the chat from Eugenia from the Inter-American Heart Foundation. Did you have a group of influencers working with you from before, or how did you get their support for this campaign?
Mm-hmm. There's definitely a group of influencers who are warm to us, who if we tag, they might, retweet afterwards. But we did, it was time consuming, but we did direct outreach. So we would direct message if that was an option, if they had that turned on their Twitter, for example. So we have, I guess, some research done and a good list of influencers in our space. So it is quite manual, but it's all, I guess, earned media because we don't have budget to bring on an influencer in that way. So it's all out of to get them motivated to repost. So it was manual, but it was worth it to get that reach.
Yes, indeed. Michelle is asking, were there any Caribbean nations included international reach? How would they have been aware of this particular campaign?
There wasn't, and I don't think we have an affiliate in the Caribbean. So if that's where you're from, Michelle, go to our website, please, and join us. But how would they have been aware? The YouTube advertising was global. We also did some social media adverts globally. So they might have seen it through our paid ads. Otherwise, it would just be if, for example, if they follow World Heart Federation and World Heart Federation retweeted some campaign content, that would be another option.
Okay, another question. Does this campaign involve hospital institutions in each country?
It wasn't our primary audience, but we did get some hospital groups, nurses groups come behind our message. So not formally, but they were welcome to take part, download the toolkit. It was open to everyone in the cardiovascular disease space, everyone that supported this message.
So despite their affiliation to Global Heart Hub, they could have picked up the campaign?
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Wonderful. Great work, Edel, and the team at Global Heart Hub. Thank you very much for sharing with us your campaign. And we feel inspired, I must say, and continue this conversation that could potentially turn into a collaboration. Our next speaker is Andrew Webster. He leads the British Heart Foundation's Corporate Affairs Department to deliver campaigns that enhance the charity's reputation, inspire support for its fundraising, and influence improvements in cardiovascular health and care. Andrew was one of the leads for the Ad We Never Expected to Make campaign, for which WHF won the award for the best prevention campaign. I'll just give you a little bit of a hint. During Denmark's opening soccer match against Finland, the world witnessed the shocking collapse of Christian Eriksen and the work of those who performed life-saving CPR on the field. And if a 29-year-old international footballer can suffer cardiac arrest on the world stage, then it can happen to anyone at any time. Yet most people don't have highly trained medical care teams immediately on hand, meaning that fewer than 1 in 10 people in the UK survive a cardiac arrest. At the time when CPR was in the news, WHF had an important role to play in getting more people to become potential lifesavers, But I'll stop here and let Andrew tell you the rest of the story.
Hi everyone, and yeah, thank you for inviting us along today. And it was a real privilege and an honour to be recognised through the award, but also really interesting today to hear people with, I guess, the similarity and commonalities between both the challenges we face and some of the campaigns that we're running. Hopefully you can see my screen. I'm just going to rearrange my.
Yes,
my
we
view.
do.
You do? Okay. I can't see anybody, but that would be fine. Okay, so as explained, this is the ad that we never expected to make, and as said in the introduction, it followed the sudden and shocking collapse of Christian Eriksen during the European Football Championships. So this was sort of really big news in the UK, and I'm sure around the world, and just felt like the world stopped during this moment. And it just sort of struck in the most vivid and shocking way that a cardiac arrest can strike anyone any time, even a football player in the prime of his career and the pinnacle of the game, but also the power of CPR and the use of a defibrillator to save a life. So this wasn't a campaign that we expected to run, but more reacting to this global news event that put heart disease and the importance of CPR and defibrillators, at the heart of the global news agenda. So the WHF has some history in this area, and we have a reputation in the UK as the leading voice on sudden cardiac arrest survival and the importance of CPR and defibrillators. So in the UK, less than 1 in 10 people survive an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. And we actually think that survival rate could be much higher if more people knew how to perform CPR and had the confidence to do it, and if defibrillators were more readily available and accessible in the places they're needed most. And so we've been working on this area for many years, but in particular over the last 10 years. So we've done quite a lot of mass marketing campaigns in this area, most notably a campaign around hands-only CPR with a footballer who's known widely in the UK called Vinnie Jones, and was also a Hollywood actor for a while, as well as in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking in Barrel. So yeah, a familiar face. But we've also rolled out video-led CPR training in the UK, which is now present in more than 90% of UK schools. And we successfully campaigned to make CPR a mandatory part of the secondary school curriculum for children right across the UK. And more recently, we've established something called the Circuit, which is a national defibrillator database, which essentially means that if someone suffers a cardiac arrest and 999 is called for an ambulance, the call handler will be able to direct the bystander to the nearest defibrillator in their area. And currently that doesn't exist. So it's something that we've established as the BHF. So yes, I have a real reputation in this area. So it meant when Christian Eriksen did suffer his cardiac arrest, we started to receive lots of phone calls from the media to ask, what our view was and if we'd want to comment. And that was a real decision moment for us, because we didn't want to be seen as, sort of like taking advantage of the tragic situation, but at the same time, there was the opportunity to communicate a really important message. So yeah, so past that slide. So that's the picture of the cardiac arrest. And then I'd gone on to the next slide for everyone. Yeah, and so this was just what I was covering there in terms of the BHF's history around working to increase the uptake of CPR training and the use of defibrillators. So yeah, as mentioned, we've run a lot of mass marketing campaigns. We've been integral in the rollout of CPR training in schools, and also most recently established the National Defibrillator Database to help ambulance services locate defibrillators during cardiac arrests. So next slide, please. So what this meant is that there was, as soon as the cardiac arrest happened, we were approached by lots and lots of journalists from around the UK to ask what our perspective was on the cardiac arrest and what happened to Christian Eriksen. And this was like a real decision moment for us, because we didn't want to be seen as sort of like capitalizing on the situation, but at the same time, it was an opportunity to communicate a really important message. And so we decided to respond, showing real sympathy and genuine sympathy for Christian Eriksen and his family and wishing him the best, but also just using it as an opportunity to note that the reason that Christian Eriksen survived was due to the immediate CPR and the use of a defibrillator. And actually, this was a poignant moment for perhaps more of us to learn how to perform CPR and to consider the use of defibrillators. So that led to over the next 48 hours, widespread coverage. It was the top story in the UK over those couple of days, but widespread coverage, and a real feature of it was the British Heart Foundation's message around the importance of learning CPR. And then we also used our social media channels and our websites to reinforce that message as well, making sure that if people did come to our website, it was easy to find the information they were looking for in terms of video tutorials on learning CPR and things like that. But we didn't stop there. And so the next stage was, I don't know if will this play?
This is the ad we never expected to make. This should be about pre-match banter, about whether the lineup's right or wrong, about kicking off a summer we've all been waiting for, with everyone in every local. Sometimes unexpected things happen, but knowing CPR could make the difference. Help us save more lives by learning CPR.
Great, thank you. So that was a one-off TV ad that we made in 72 hours. And we had bought just one spot for the TV ad, which was on national television, but to run just before Denmark's next game. So Christian Eriksen suffered his cardiac arrest on the Saturday, and this was played on the Wednesday before Denmark played Belgium. So it was a TV ad made. We've never done anything like this. Normally it takes us 3 to 4 months to make TV ads, but we made this one in less than 72 hours. As I said, it reached an estimated 1.6 million viewers ahead of the game. And the voiceover, the person that provided the voiceover was actually Vinnie Jones. And so he was the person that I mentioned earlier who did our hands-only CPR ad. And that was from around 2013 and is worth taking a look at if you're interested. But we already had that association with Vinnie Jones, obviously in football and CPR. So it worked really, really well. And very kindly, Vinnie just recorded the voiceover over the phone just before he was boarding a flight. So we're really grateful to him for that. But we were also able, just because it was one TV slot, it was more about how we told the story of the ad. That was how we were going to actually achieve the objectives of the campaign and ensure it reached as many people as possible. So one of the things that we did was actually briefed one of our ambassadors, who's a former footballer himself, Graham Souness, and who you can see on the slide. And he was part of the punditry panel ahead of the game. And so he actually chaired a discussion as a result of our briefing with the presenter and some of the other people for around 5 to 10 minutes on the importance of CPR and around heart disease and how it does affect people like him and Christian Eriksen, and just really helps change and challenge perceptions of who heart disease affects. And we were also able to do more PR around the ad and the fact that we were teaming up with Vinnie Jones again. And so in total, including that initial response, but also the PR around the ad, we managed to secure more than 500 pieces of media coverage in the 2 weeks following Christian Eriksen's cardiac arrest, including around 80 about the actual creation of the TV ad. But like I said, it was just one slot. So next slide, please. So the other really important part of the campaign was just trying to make the story travel as far and as wide as we could. So we briefed just ahead of the ad going live, we briefed a lot of our partner organisations who work in a similar area. So people like St John Ambulance and the Resuscitation Council in the UK. But also some of our celebrity ambassadors and former footballers as well. So those familiar with football might know Glenn Hoddle or David Seaman, who are former England internationals, or Harry Redknapp, who's the former manager of Tottenham Hotspur. So they all shared the ad and the campaign on their social media channels. And we also emailed all MPs, every single MP in the country, and asked them to back the campaign as well, many of whom did on their social media channels, which really just helped add to the reach of the campaign. And finally, the most important thing is that, like I said, there was no sort of donation ask or anything like that in terms of it being self-serving for the British Heart Foundation. The one thing we wanted people to do was actually use this really sudden and shocking moment as an opportunity to learn CPR themselves. And as you can see in the graphs, the faint lines are what we'd normally expect in terms of traffic, and the darker lines are what we saw in the couple of weeks following Christian Eriksen's cardiac arrest. And it's this real surge in people visiting our website and our how-to guides in terms of how to perform CPR, and we actually saw 125,000 100,000 unique visitors to the How to Save a Life section of the WHF's website, which I think, you know, is a positive outcome from a really sort of tragic and shocking situation. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, and this is just a final comment from our chief executive, who's been associated with the BHF for many years, but just knows the power, I guess, of these like big campaigns around encouraging people to CPR and how they actually do translate into action. And so that's our hope, is that, you know, off the back of the sudden and shocking cardiac arrest that Christian Eriksen suffered, and it's really pleasing to see him back playing football now, but we really hope that we help to turn it into an opportunity to encourage people to learn CPR, and as a result, you know, someday some of those people may put those skills into action. So thank you again for your time. Sorry about some of the technical issues there, but hopefully managed to get through it and it all made sense. But welcome any questions or comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrew, and congratulations to the entire team at the British Heart Foundation for winning the award for the best prevention campaign. It's really impressive how quickly you were able to turn around the CPR awareness campaign in a response to a shocking event, like you said, that was followed by millions of people. And to me, this is a clear example of how organizations can achieve a significant impact. You show the stats with such a simple message and clear objectives. So well done for that. Are there any curiosities, comments, or questions for Andrew? Koji, I see a comment: sudden cardiac death is an important matter and needs advocacy. SCD was a focus, especially in 2021, or is your foundation's main focus?
Yeah, sure. So it's no, it's an ongoing focus. I think we see it as long term. So yeah, like I said, and there's been different stages to it. So like there's, you know, a big focus as an organisation on the sort of ensuring that school children learn CPR, you know, in schools, and we've made significant progress on that. And so we're now looking at another area, which is around the accessibility of defibrillators. So I think it's a continual focus, not just for 2021. And that's why the campaign worked so well, is that we had so much to draw on and so much expertise to draw on. That's why we're able to react quickly. But it's a continual focus, and our hope is that the more we focus on it, the greater the chance of us improving those survival rates that I shared at the beginning.
Thank you. And congratulations. I must admit, I'm amazed by how quickly you managed to put together a campaign, 72 hours. How did you manage to do that? I'm really curious.
Yeah, I mean, we don't normally, we don't normally succeed in that. I think there's something about when the time is so short and you have such a clear goal, that it just means that everyone pulls together. And so, like one of the challenges that we face in doing things quickly is, like that push for being as creative and bold as possible, but while being medically accurate. But I think just the fact that it was such a short time frame and we had that goal of wanting to do something around the next Denmark match, it just pulled together people, including at a really senior level, pulled together people in a way that just made it possible. Everyone sort of had the shared goal and the shared understanding of why it was so important that we got something out. So I think that the situation is what just enabled that real clarity of focus and enabled us to do something so quickly.
Wonderful. You leveraged the moment as much as you could. I can imagine that, and with the right team behind us, I guess in resources, you managed to pull out such an important ad that was run online all over the world. Amazing. Thank you very much, Andrew. It was great having you with us today. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
I now invite our last speakers, Gillian Coate and Mark Baines. They are the co-founders of HeartLife Foundation. They will tell us more about the Canadian Heart Failure Patient and Caregiver Charter. They won the award for the Effective Voice of the Year, and they're very proud of this achievement. I met Gillian and Mark in Geneva in May, and we shared lots of good memories from the time spent together. While they're getting their slides up, I'll just give you a brief introduction about the situation in Canada. So heart failure is common and on the rise in the country, and as more people are surviving heart attacks and other acute heart diseases, more people are going to develop heart failure. However, early diagnosis and treatment are important. By treating heart failure at its early stages, people can live longer and more active lives. That was the primary driver for the HeartLife Foundation to create the Canadian Heart Failure Patient and Caregiver Charter, which aims to improve the overall quality of life for Canadians with this condition. I now give the floor to Gillian and Mark.
Thank you, Andrea. So I'm just going to actually present. Jillian is in the audience and says her hellos. Just in an effort of time, I think probably one of us speaking is best on this front. But it was a pleasure to meet you in Geneva and the rest of the group and network and see and share the ideas of what's happening in the global cardiovascular community. Even this event, congratulations to all the award winners. Campaigns like this are so important in other countries so we can take them back, understand them and adapt and maybe develop them in the same way. Okay, so there we go. I just want to acknowledge here in Canada that I live, work, and play on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we do as a foundation in case you don't know, and then jump into the patient journey, which will prompt what the patient charter is all about. So HeartLife, founded in 2016, Jillian and I are two people who have lived experience of heart failure. I have a heart transplant and Jillian actually has 2 heart transplants. She always beats me on that record and I think we're going to keep it that way. We initially started off as a support group to provide support for people living with heart failure. And over the last 6 years, morphed into a full-fledged advocacy organization that engages patients, families, and their caregivers to provide education and support, provide access to latest research and innovations, and really advocate for better care. Our mission is to really transform the quality of life for people by engaging folks. So bringing them to the table, educating them. And this is why I love so many of the ideas shared today, because you're able to educate the audiences. And the education really empowers people to create lasting solutions, advocate for themselves, and build healthier lives. Early on in our foundation, we launched a project called the Patient Journey Map. And this was really to understand the patient journey in heart failure from pre-diagnosis all the way to advanced heart failure care. And that we looked at life before diagnosis, the diagnosis, and living with heart failure. And so you're wondering why I'm telling you this when I'm talking about the patient charter, because a lot of the challenges and gaps in care were identified in this journey mapping process. We looked at physical challenges, we looked at mental and emotional challenges, we looked at challenges in the system of heart failure in Canada. And from that, developed real opportunities to improve. So how do we raise awareness of heart failure? Because it's an invisible disease. How do we improve mental health support? How do we help people live the way they want after diagnosis? Create more empathetic approach to heart failure care, empower people, improve access to medications and technologies, build more communities around heart failure, and then transform heart failure care in Canada. And with that, we thought, why not create a national standard? There was nothing like that in the country. And really, it's creating this system of care that's equal regardless of who you are, where you live, and what you do. And that's where the Patient Charter was born. And what the Patient Charter does, it outlines a set of rights and responsibilities to really support a national standard of care in Canada. This includes access to medical therapies, because support varies. I mean, you may hear about the Canadian medical system as being a universal healthcare system, but we still have our challenges and gaps in care. I'm fortunate to live in Metro Vancouver on the West Coast and have access to major heart failure centers within 20 minutes of me. Someone living in Northern British Columbia or other parts of Canada might not have that. So this charter was really for patients and caregivers to know what to expect to their care continuum, to be empowered to ask the right questions, understand their individual responsibilities, which we'll get to. It's for healthcare providers to really get a lens from the patient voice, what that experience looks like, identify opportunities in their and how they deliver care to improve how they do that, and then ultimately for policymakers and private payers to improve the coverage and standards of care that we provide. So why does Canada need a patient charter? Well, I mean, that number here on the right side, you'll see 669,000 Canadians living with heart failure. Recent reports say that number is 750,000, but probably closer to 1 million, with 90,000 new diagnoses every single year. And I mean, when we think about policy change and economics, the burden of heart failure in Canada is almost 722 million. It's 2.8 billion a year, and that's just in Canada alone. With a smaller population, just imagine of that on the global scale. And so really, what is this patient charter and what does it encompass? What you saw from the patient journey, we brought those opportunities into patient rights. So we look at receipt of an accurate and timely diagnosis of heart failure, and I'll go through them one by one. An accurate and timely diagnosis of heart failure, and this relates across all disease areas. So, you know, we think about how will this treatment relieve my symptoms, improve my quality of life? With heart failure, every single second and minute counts. So that's why it's important to get accurate and timely diagnosis. Number two, the availability of services and resources to support my mental health. A lot of the times with heart failure, we think about the physical challenges, but more often than not, and our members say this, there's so many mental and emotional support challenges that are overlooked, that are not identified. So it's important for us to have this in the charter. Access to educational tools and resources. So you think about the campaigns that were presented earlier today. It revolved around education. It revolved around tools and resources. And this really helps empower people with lived experience, their families and caregivers, to take charge of their heart failure. Empathy and compassion from healthcare providers. You know, you think about what they did in Indonesia with the book about the stories of people living with diseases. It's really understanding the stories of the people on day to day who have to face these challenges, have to overcome these challenges, and provide that sense of hope, and spreading this message to our healthcare providers to provide a more empathetic approach to our care. Access to multidisciplinary care teams. In Canada, and Jillian told me this a few years ago, and it always stuck with me, over 80% of heart failure care happens in the community. We rely on our family physicians, we rely on our cardiac rehab specialists, our dietitians, our pharmacists, our nurses to support us through our journey. It's not just a specialist. So ensuring there's a holistic approach to heart failure care. Timely access to the best standards of care. So it's great that access is available, but we have to get it in a timely way. There's no point in waiting 6 months, a year to get the medications that are going to improve our quality of life. An opportunity to provide input into decisions around future research of heart failure. So really getting involved at the foundational levels of system care, of research, to develop the processes going forward. But also encompassed with this charter is patient responsibilities, because it takes two to tango, as they say. And so we have added a set of responsibilities for patients and caregivers living with the disease. And that's to maintain healthy behaviors, self-monitoring their symptoms, seeking help. So you think about the Global Heart Hub campaign of Just Go, seeking help when you need it, taking medications as prescribed, following the advice of the healthcare provider, and then asking questions when you don't understand. And so during our campaign, after we launched the charter, we did two phases where we did a media outreach as well as focused on social media. And we incorporated, we hired a group called Proof Strategies to help us along the way. And this was really to build awareness among our key audiences, patients, caregivers, healthcare providers, and policymakers, to develop a strategy to leverage our social channels, as we all do now in this digital age, to leverage Heart Failure Awareness Week, which happens in Canada. And this was really big for us, to leverage key events in the country to gain more of that awareness and really bring in the healthcare providers. And then we created a specific space on our website to do this. Some of the tactics we used was driving a link to the charter from all of our social channels, setting up a really short campaign actually during Heart Failure Awareness Week and Heart Month to do this, and allowing people to easily download our charter and share the message. Some of the campaigns, some of the highlights, we reached over 300,000 users at an average of frequency of 3.74. Like I said, this campaign was fairly short, April 27th to May 20th. We saw over 6,000 visits to our website. That was an increase of over 580%, which is amazing. I won't go through all of these, but the big number is we had over 1 million impressions. We reached over 319,000 people. And this is with a very small budget, very focused and small budget. And it's great because this news spread wide and far. And just recently, the Global Heart Hub launched a patient charter of their own. So they adapted the Heart Life Charter. This is now spread over 31 countries who've endorsed it and translated into 10 different languages. I mean, little did we think that our patient caregiver and charter would be global, but here's what comes from it, something like this. And thinking about these other messages that were shared, bringing it back to our group to adapt. I mean, just think about the possibilities. And what's next for this though? The charter was only step one. What we want to do really is affect policy and system change. So we're working with the Institute of Health Economics to develop the heart failure policy and systems evaluation, heart failure PACE. And this is really to prepare a summary policy document and policy levers to promote further conversation and do policy recommendations. So this is the ultimate goal for this patient and caregiver charter. And this will be coming out sometime in October, and we'll be happy to share it then as well. If you want more information about the charter or reach out to Jillian and myself, you can always visit heartlife.ca or just email us, mark@heartlife.ca or jillian@heartlife.ca. Thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And congratulations to you and Jillian for winning the award for the Effective Voice of the Year. This is indeed such a creative, clear, and informative campaign. And you have the best example, Global Heart Hub picked up your idea and brought it to the next level. I must admit, we very much admire your the inclusiveness of your campaign. The fact that you have interviewed patients and caregiver, as well as the fact that you use social media to promote all your work. It's really impressive. Thank you. And let's see if there are any questions or if Jillian wants to say something or comment.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Thank you. I just wanted to say how grateful I am. I just made a comment in the chat, but it really is. It makes all of the pain that that I think Mark and I have been through personally, but the work that went into this from all of our members across the country just makes everything worthwhile when, you know, the Global Heart Hub has taken it to, and their team has taken this idea to the next level, and then being able to work with people at the World Heart Federation. It's been an extremely rewarding experience, and we're really looking forward to what comes next. And so thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. I see that Esti has a question. How are you going to bring the charter to policymakers?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think it's multifold. So one of the things that we do as a foundation is get involved in national meetings, such as the Canadian Cardiovascular Congress, Heart Failure Awareness Week and Heart Failure Update, where we have the eyes and ears of folks who are in the system day in, day out, healthcare professionals who then can talk to policymakers about it. We will also probably engage a specific organization that reaches out to policymakers to help support these initiatives as we move forward. And I think HeartLife and Canada specifically operates in a unique way where we have great relationships with our healthcare providers in key appointments. So people leading heart failure care in the country, in the province, in the region that can help share our message. So those are a couple ways. The third way I would say is with some of the work we're doing with the Canadian Heart Failure Alliance, which is a national grant that Jillian and I are co-leading. It's with over 137 participants, with over $27 million in funding that's really going to transform the way heart failure care is delivered across Canada over the next 5 years. And so it's really being involved in that and having the charter and the policy document as foundational pieces as we really develop new systems of care.
Petronella, do you want to address the question that you just wrote in the chat?
Yes, thank you so much, Mark and Jillian. Really, I applaud your work. Fantastic, fantastic. I know about policymakers, but what does it come when it comes to, you know, patients and patient engagement? As you said, Mark, it takes two to tango. And we know that human beings are really resistant to change, behavioral change, eating healthy, exercising, so on and so forth. How do you ensure that the patients follow through with your recommendations, that they do the work? Because obviously miracles can happen, but it needs to come from the patient side, and they need to do the work. They need to follow through with preventative measures and so on. How do you see patients doing the work rather than, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. And I think over the last 6 years, we've been able to develop our membership and create a trusted source from HeartLife. And that's so important, is that trusted source. So a part of that, I think about the education and the multidisciplinary care. Jillian is an educator. She's an associate professor at the University of British Columbia. And we developed HeartLife Academy, which has education resources for people with lived experience. And so that becomes a trusted source. We developed the My HeartLife app, which is an extension of our Facebook group that has the peer-to-peer support as well as programs that people are logging onto and utilizing. We have weekly meetings that people are involved in. So it's that continuous engagement. And I'll go back to our mission statement. It's engaging the patients and caregivers consistently. It's educating them with trusted information, and then that empowers them to move forward and manage their care effectively. And I think our group has developed organically, and we have these champions that now take challenges on, that help support others, that drive and push each other to move forward. So not so much just, Jillian and I, it's everyone in Canada as part of our membership of HeartLife that is doing this together. I think the challenge will be working with our healthcare professionals and our policymakers to really implement some of these things in the charter, and our policy levers to say, yeah, this is what we need to do when making decisions about heart failure care.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. It's a great question, Petronella. The empowerment aspect of this is so very important. And since, as you say, and the data from this particular document that forms the foundation for what we do collectively moving forward is, it really comes from the voice of the people with lived experience, of the patients and family caregivers. So it's already, much of that is already embedded in what people know and understand what they can do. We also recognize, however, that it does need to come with support, because not everybody is perfect all the time. And so, so we do, like Mark said, we have the Academy, we have the app, and we have our Facebook group. We have, groups with people who aren't on Facebook can access support through the app. And there's multiple ways, multiple channels of receiving that support as you move through this journey that is heart failure or cardiovascular disease. And so that aspect was really, really important to us. And with the policy levers, that's where our Heart Failure PACE Institute for Health Economics aspect is really important for us, because policy, is really, it's about showing where the dollars and cents are, and how we can help use this analysis from the perspective of the patients and people with lived experience moving forward to help engage our policymakers and our other national organizations to really put in place some systemic change. And so that's what we're hoping to do. And we did learn a lot while we were at the summit as well, and picked up some potential ideas for how to make some of that happen. And but the empowerment aspect and where the document is rooted is really important. So it's almost a grassroots kind of evolution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jillian, I see hearts. Thank you, Mark. Wonderful. I think we've reached the end of our session. So please join me in thanking all our presenters for their contribution and dedication to our common mission. I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say that these campaigns that we've seen today inspired us to go beyond our own successful projects and initiatives. Their perseverance, because it wasn't easy, I think motivates us to push our limits, and their achievements taught us to recognize good ideas and shape them into something more. Thank you all for your active participation. I hope you enjoyed our program. I hope you feel energized and you go home with a bucket full of ideas that could be implemented in your own organizations. And why not? You could be the next winners of the World Heart Awards. So stay tuned, because in October, November, we will run the next call for applications for the World Heart Awards. And last but not least, many thanks to my team, Daniela, Eugenia, and Sabine, who made sure that today's session ran smoothly. So until next time, stay safe and stay in touch.